Welcome to another edition of Play It Through, and this time around it's Kirby's Adventure, brought to us by HAL Laboratories and Nintendo. Now, HAL Laboratories really burst onto the video game scene with the Agerland series, also known as the Adventures of Lolo series, for the MXX computer systems and the Nintendo Entertainment System. But then they created Kirby, and this little ball of fluff has now appeared in over 20 different titles for the various Nintendo consoles over the years, with this one being the second one to ever come out. The first, of course, was Kirby's Dream Land 1 that came out on the original Game Boy, and then they made this one for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and this really kind of wrapped up the NES. This was the last huge major title, first-party title from Nintendo that came out in Japan and America. The only last big-name Nintendo title that came out from Nintendo was Star Tropics 2 Zoda's Revenge, but that was a Nintendo of America exclusive game. So this was really the last huge game for America and Japan from Nintendo, and it really kind of utilized every element that Nintendo had going for it. I mean, the visuals are just beautiful. It used the best sound capabilities it possibly could. Plus, it really revolutionized and it really defined what Kirby would be about from now on. The first Dreamland game, while a great platformer, really didn't have anything that set it apart from other platformers. Now, then this one came out, and the ability to suck in your opponent and use their abilities against them, similar but different to Mega Man, well, that really kind of defined Kirby, and ever since then, that's really what you know about Kirby. You're always seeing the fact that he's using other people's abilities to his advantage to use them against his opponents. Now, in this run, I'm going to be going ahead and getting all these secret switches that are spread out throughout the game, which they really don't unlock any extra levels, but what they do is in the different worlds, they give you an extra bonus games or unlock the Warp Star, which can take you to any of the levels at your leisure. Now, I'm pretty much going to be going straight forward and trying to get through the game, probably almost as quickly as I can. Kirby, of course, is a great game that has a lot of gameplay to it, and I'm going to be playing the mini-games at least once a piece, just so you can get a look at them and see what they are. I'm also going to show you the museum just real briefly, at least once, just to show you what that's about, as well as I will be doing one of the Coliseum boss matches to gain an ability that I'm going to be needing for a level in order to get a secret switch or two, so that will be coming up later in the run as well. Now, this is the first minigame. This is the Crane Fever minigame, and basically you have to hold the A button over and center it right about the top of which one you want, either the small Kirby or the large Kirby. And of course, the larger Kirby's hard to pick up, but he's worth more lives. And you basically get 2 credits, and see if you can pick up 2 of the large Kirbys, or a large Kirby and a small Kirby, 2 smalls. It doesn't matter. Whatever you end up picking up, of course, that's what the lives that you end up getting extra. And this game does a really good job of giving you plenty of opportunity to earn yourself extra lives. So this is really the platformer that I would suggest to anyone, especially if you're a novice at video games in general. All the Kirby games are like that. They're easy to pick up. They take a little bit to master of using the different abilities if you're trying to do a speed run or trying to do a no-death run of the game or something like that. It does take a little bit, but for the most part, the Kirby games in general are just fun. They're really not about difficulty. They're not about tricking you with confusing puzzles, and it's really the game that I think anyone, no matter how old, how young, can really enjoy and just sit there and really start to understand why video games are fun. Now, I just took out the first mini-boss there. That was a Poppy Brother Sr., and we're going to be seeing a few of them throughout the course of the run. And I got the Crash ability. Now, of course, later on in Kirby Superstar, they were introduced one of my favorite abilities, which is just the bomber ability, being able to pull out random bombs and throw them at people. But for this game, the Poppy Brother Seniors, as well as the random atomic bomb-looking enemies, give you the Crash ability, which you only get to use once before you end up losing the ability, but it pretty much it wipes the screen of all enemies and does bosses. It pretty much destroys almost every boss in just one single use. Now here we go, this is the end of it, and I'm going to explain right here if you're wondering what that was at the beginning, if you've never played this great game before. Basically at the end of each level, you have a little bit of a mini-game where if you push A at the right point, it sends Kirby higher up, and you try to get up to the highest level, the 1 rank level, and you will get an extra life for getting to the top. And any other time you get it lower than that, you end up just getting extra bonus points instead. Now in this game, you have 7 worlds you have to go through and travel through in the game, with each of them ending with a boss fight that gives you different pieces of the Star Rod. And then when you have the Star Rod, you go to the 8th and final world, which isn't really a world or anything, it's just one level. It's one boss fight where you have to deal with the final boss of the game. Now, all 7 of the worlds that have the Star Rod pieces are broken up into, of course, these little mini worlds, which, you know, similar to maybe a Super Mario Bros. 3, or any of the platformers that had kind of a selection map where you got to, like, move on and choose where you want to go next on, you know, actually seeing yourself enter the level. Unfortunately, in this game, though, there was no branching path, so it was different from the, like, Mario titles and such. But I guess they did that maybe trying not to confuse people, or just were trying to, you know, limit whatever. Now here is the museum, and basically what the museum is, I'm just going to stand here for a second real quick, is you get to see a random ability. Each museum contains different abilities, you know, 1 or usually actually 2 different abilities. I'm going to use the crash ability here to take out the walrus, just to make it a little bit easier. I might as well go ahead and grab his ability, which is the freeze ability. And it's one of those abilities that it turns an enemy into an ice block, and Kirby changes as well. But for the museum, you have 1 or 2 choices. You can just suck in that enemy, he's not going to hurt you or anything. And then of course, you have that ability. You also have the Colosseums, which allow you to do a battle with different mini-bosses throughout the game. And really what that benefits is, not only, you know, is it just fun if you want to do a battle with a boss, but you also get their ability, of course, for after doing so. And some of the mini-bosses have some of the better abilities, such as the crash ability. You also have this mouse alarm clock that gives you an ability that sends out a like giant sound wave that hurts and kills almost all enemies on screen, and does mostly hurts bosses a lot as well, and you get 3 of those instead of just 1 like the crash ability, but it's not as powerful, of course. You also, of course, can get other abilities such as the throw and the suplex abilities. You also get a hammer ability from one of the mini-bosses as well. Now, with the freeze ability, I'm going to go ahead and do battle now with Wispy Wood, the first boss, the first full boss of the game, world boss, and I'm just going to stand here and use the freeze ability to take him out very quickly. For the most part, though, if you just wait along, he'll shoot little puffs of air at you, and also he'll just drop random apples from the sky, and you pick up those apples in your mouth, spit them at him, and that's how you're really supposed to kind of do the battle if you don't have any abilities going in. But with those addition of abilities to be able to be gained from enemies throughout the game, it really makes certain boss fights pretty easy when you have an ability going into them. Now here we go with Level 2 of World 2, Ice Cream Island, which of course has this fun tropical feel to it. And I always love the fact that you get those little animations before each world, like this little cartoony animation, something funny going on with Kirby. It gives more, you know, they always said, like, the creator of Kirby pretty much always said that with Kirby, even though he's just this small circle, he has to show so much more emotion through his facial expressions, or, you know, his arm movements and stuff like that. So even though he's just a small little ball character, he can show and exhibit so much emotion through the face and through the different abilities and such like that. Which I always found is, you know, that's exactly true, and it's actually really cool about Kirby, that even though he's just a little tiny thing, he really is a deep character that he can show that much emotion. Now that I've completed the first level of World 2, or whatever you want to break it down to, I'm now going to head up here and do another one of the mini games similar to the crane game. This one is the egg catcher game, where you have to hold open Kirby's mouth and take in the eggs, and of course you don't want to take in the bombs that King DDD is throwing at you. If you somehow are able to get all the eggs, which is very, very hard, I'm going to see how many I can come on. And see, even though I got almost every one, I still missed one. I get an extra life, though, for getting as many as I got. If you got all the eggs, you end up getting 3 extra lives instead of just the 1. So now I'm going to head over to level 2, and I grabbed the tornado ability, which I always love the little picture of Kirby with the dizzy eyes in that, and it really introduced, I like that whole abilities, like kind of like a playing card or something like that, like a trading card game with the Kirby abilities on them, the little cartoon drawings and the interpretations of Kirby's different abilities that he gets. I always thought they were just a nice little added bonus to everything else that already is going on with the game. Now, here we go with the another one of the mini-bosses. This one is Wheelie, and of course I'm going to get the Wheel ability for defeating Wheelie here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and just take that ability. because it's just a lot of fun to use the wheel ability and just kind of drive through this little desert area, mowing down all the enemies in my path, being able to go right over any gap. You know, single gaps, of course. I couldn't get over a larger gap. And I can just use it right here again, and just make it to the end and be able to complete the level with the